When I think about the things that light me up, that give me energy, I love that business side. Ego is keeping me in the exam room. But if I never saw another patient again and we were growing the practice and business, I think I'd be just fine. All right, my friends, the Ultimate OD podcast. Got a listener question. Ask me what I would do to start a dry eye clinic knowing what I know now. This information that I'm going to go over can be applied to any specialty clinic. They're universal principles, but they're very good things for you to think about and go through a checklist and see, is this for you, or is it something that you might want to wait or go down another avenue? All right. Listen to this episode. Let me know what you think. Are you going to pull the trigger, or is this something fancy, some shiny object that I'm saving you from spending a bunch of money on? We have the closing thought of the episode. This is the Ultimate OD podcast. Here we go. All right, my friends, the Ultimate OD podcast. Thank you for the likes, the listens, just being part of the community as we've grown. It's been a great start to the year. We have momentum. We're booked out. It's really cool to see. The interesting thing I'm seeing when I look at what I did last year and what we're doing this year is I was so heavy into comprehensive exams last year. For the quarter, I think me by myself, I saw like 550. And then by the fourth quarter, comprehensive exams in the same time frame was about, for a quarter, was 330. Year to date, we're doing 53 less comps, but revenue is roughly about the same. So we're getting more revenue per refraction. This is partly because we're doing more in our specialty clinics. We're down a few days, but we're doing well. I'm happy with how we've progressed. And I think that's one of the things that I want you guys to think about is being better, being more efficient can be a sign of growth and progress. I grew year over year like 30% revenue, but this year we're booked out, we're busy, we have one, maybe two less staff members, and we're doing roughly about the same. So a lot of what I'm doing is making the business more efficient. Our EBITDA should be higher because revenue is still up there, but we have less overhead. I think that's a sign of a better business. We're also getting more strategic in what we do. And with strategy, I'm talking about the design of how we operate. It has a purpose, it has a plan. My office manager and myself, we've actually set goals that are attainable and that we can track and measure. We did a great job of setting those, and we're moving forward and progressing every single week. It's the first time in my life where we're actually making progress and going towards the goals that we set, where it's consistent. We've had goals, but they've been more of just things off in the distance. This has more of a strategic plan to it. So good start to the year. Let me know how your guys' years are going. But today, I've talked to a lot of different people. I've had a couple articles and review of optometric business, and then I've talked about the dry eye clinic growing. One of the questions in email I got was they're looking to start a dry eye clinic. Do I have any advice? And I want to give that advice. If I was starting a dry eye clinic, what I would tell you. I'll send you the notes, but I'll also send you an email of this episode. This episode will be much more in depth and better than I think the reply I would be able to give in an email. So we'll go from there. So when you talk about starting a dry eye practice, a dry eye clinic, your heart, your mind goes to cash pay procedures, IPL, Tixel, RF, you name it. When I thought dry eye clinic, that's what got me into it. That is not a dry eye clinic, and we'll talk about that, but that is a piece of the puzzle. But if that's all you're planning on doing, you're going to get tired of it. You're not going to have the best possible outcomes. And you'll, after about a year or two, just not have the energy to keep pushing the narrative, the treatments. Okay? There's a lot more to it than that. And that's why a lot of people Well, look at the influencers, which are put out there by Tixel, RF, or InMode, and Luminous, amongst the other companies that do the same procedures, but they're selling a piece of the puzzle. Remember what I said in the intro, when we're talking about strategy and optimal design is necessary. That's part of strategy, is designing how your business operates. Okay? And it's been 4 years that I've been doing this. In the first year and a half, 2 years, I was just selling treatments. And I could sell them. It worked well, but it wasn't growing the way it has as of late. And that's because I've changed my mindset. We've really developed a system that operates 24/7 every single day of the week, with every doctor, every staff member, end to end, bookend to bookend, surround sound. Everyone's giving the same messaging. Every patient's getting the same treatment, whether they're 7 or 97. We operate under the same mindset. So you have to be strategic about that. So the first thing I want you to do is probably the opposite of what you're thinking. When you think dry eye clinic, how are we going to get people to refer patients to us? That's what I thought. If I can just get people in from the outside. Well, that's going to be slow. It's going to take a lot of proof of concept. It's not going to be the influx you think it is. Because a lot of people say they do dry eye. What you need to do is internally get your patients to become dry eye patients. And that's what we've done. That's why we've had so much growth and so much success. When I talk to other doctors, they're like, you must have a really good referral network. We have a good referral network, I guess, but 99% of our patients are internal. It's the patients that come in for a comprehensive exam. So what I'm saying is, to treat dry eye, to have a dry eye clinic, you need to have this be inherently part of your exam. Just like you screen for glaucoma, you look for cataracts, you prescribe glasses and contacts, we are looking for dry eye. Our staff knows about it. When someone says they're having a certain symptom, our staff will, that could be your tear film, and they'll set the table for the doctor. When we hand off to our opticians and the optical, they're going to talk to them about dry eye and ocular health, how to keep your tear film as healthy as it possibly can be. The doctors, every single doctor in the practice, there's 2 of us right now, there will be 3 in the future, talk about the same things. It's just part of our conversation. If you want to treat dry eye, it's not IPL and Tixel and RF. It's start to finish. What makeup are you using? Your diet, your lifestyle. What can you do at home to make your vision better? How is your tear film affecting your glasses? How is it affecting your contacts? Are you spending time on the computer? You're blinking less. All roads lead to tear film and lids, ocular surface. It really is what we do. It's just our focus. And that conversation, that mentality is how we've gotten so many people to buy in. It's just like treating glaucoma. So you, as the owner of the practice, have to set the tone. And part of this is deciding what you're not going to do, because your staff has so much bandwidth. And if you come in with hey, we're getting an IPL, this is going to be the best thing, but you just got done talking about the Stellus lens, you just got done talking about sclerals, or how you're going to be so much better at glaucoma and this, your staff doesn't know what message to give out. They only have so much bandwidth. You as doctors only have so much bandwidth. I track all of our accessories, what we sell, what we do. And you know what? What we talk about moves. Lutein, omega-3s. For the first 6 months of us having the new associate in the office, the opticians were like, we can't sell omega-3s. Just too expensive, can't do it. We could sell a ton of lutein. There's a difference in price. 1 month supply is about $70 for omegas. A 3-month supply is about $80, $70 for lutein. Fast forward another 6 months, we are selling more omega-3s than we are lutein, because the doctors talk about it. What are you talking about? The staff knows the benefits of the omegas. Not that they didn't know the benefits before, but that it's getting reinforced as the journey goes along. It's a process, it's a system. That's strategy. So you have to figure out what you're not going to be talking about or what you're taking off their plate. Case in point, we called all of our scleral patients and told them we don't fit them anymore. We'll still see them for red eyes, routine care, but we're not going to do anything with sclerals. We do myopia management because I believe it's standard of care. I was dying inside when I had to use part of an office meeting, some of our staff meeting time, to talk about myopia management. That's the mentality we have in our office. I think it's necessary. I had to get the information out, but don't let it fill your brains too much. We'll guide you through it. I just have to give you the basics. Because all I want to talk about is dry eye and ocular surface. All my associate wants to talk about dry eye and ocular surface. We are passionate about it. It's genuine, it's authentic. When all I was doing is trying to sell IPL treatments, when we first got the IPL, it got old quick. It really did, because that's what I do. I got patients to do it, but I had no follow-up. I had no protocol. If you do those treatments, you'll get them to advance, but there's got to be more. You got to keep their eyes healthy. You got to follow up. You got to keep seeing them. If you're just going to think you're going to sign them up for treatments and it'll just continue to come back without you treating it like it's an actual condition, you're wrong, and I was wrong. Okay, you have to have that protocol in place and know that it's a chronic condition that is going to take your time, effort, and energy. You have to set up a system that supports that. So part of setting up that system is making room on your schedule. And I know this is the hardest part for me when I first started, is I'd put people, my dry eye patients, on the schedule, and what would they not do? They wouldn't show up. And I'm like, well, I could have filled that with a comprehensive exam, sold a pair of progressive lenses, or a year's supply of contacts. What am I doing putting these dry eye patients on the schedule? Well, double book them now. They'll be with the comp and I'll just fit them in. Didn't work real well because I didn't have a lot of time for them. We dedicate 30 minutes to a dry eye eval. That's the one thing in our office that we will never double book. We have time to educate, the patients understand why they're coming back, what we're treating. Our conversion rates are higher. Remember, we're seeing less patients. Year over year, I think we're down 50 comprehensive exams. Our revenue's pretty much the same. That's a very scary thing to think about when you look at revenue per refraction, and it's like $350. Our revenue per refraction now is doubled because it's not the comprehensives that are producing the revenue. It's our dry eye treatments. It's not the medical visit, the 99213s that come in. It's because we see them, because we educate them, and then we get them into a treatment that works for them. Even if they're not in for a treatment that they need, we're seeing a more volume of them, right? And that we value. We'll make time on the schedule to educate them because it matters. Remember what I told you early on in the intro? We're down 2 staff members because we've gotten more efficient. When we were a volume practice doing comprehensive exams, we needed more staff. Because we've slowed down the pace, we're educating more, we have a protocol, a system. You're hearing me say that a lot because I'm emphasizing it for you. We can operate more efficiently and do more revenue. So these are little things that matter. These are the things that you have to do. And notice, everything I've talked about has been internal. About the staff that you have, the patients that you already have. I'll ask you this. Are you seeing patients and referring them to someone for dry eye? My thought process is, if you're not, do you care about dry eye? Is it something that you really think is a important feature in a comprehensive exam? Or are you just trying to add a service that can make revenue because you're selling a treatment? We see, honestly, probably each doctor, 4 patients a day that we're prescribing XDEMVY because we're looking at their lids and lashes. We say it's an issue. We prescribe the XMV. We see them back in about the 12 weeks, and then we go from there. If they had that, they're more likely to have size, ocular surface disease, and we keep going down the pathway. Are you even prescribing XDEMVY? That's the easiest low-hanging fruit with a pharmaceutical that matters, that affects the ocular surface. I ask you that not because I'm calling you out, because I'm asking you to look internally and say, do you really think in 5 years you're still going to be this passionate about the ocular surface? Something to think about before you spend $100K on a piece of equipment because you think it's going to turn you some revenue, because the rep says it's a perfect fit for your practice, because Dr. Smith down the street is killing it. He's doing like 20 treatments a week. Oh, if he can do 20 treatments a week, I can do 20 treatments a week. The influencer said it would be easy. You just have to follow these steps. It's not easy. You're going to get people that say no. The patients that you have, honestly, there's a huge handful of them that are going to look at you and be like, you have seen me for a decade, and now you're talking about this? I don't believe you. We're going somewhere else. You're going to lose patients for it. Do you have a system in place that supports these patients, that has a system that will continue to keep them in your office? Part of the things that we've done over the past 3 years are implement the importance of ocular health and wellness. Photos are required for certain patients, 25 and older. That's a great screening to see if they value ocular health and wellness, if they're going to value the treatments that we see fit, the technologies that we bring into our office. It's a filtering process. We're not trying to compete with Costco. We're not trying to compete with really glasses places. When I go to other meetings or talk to other doctors and they're talking about selling more progressives or optical capture rate, contact lens capture rate, yes, I put energy into it, but in my mind, we're a completely different business. In 2 years, we'll be even further apart from that type of optometry. That's the mentality of a dry eye clinic. Now I get that you can bring it in. I have a smaller office. If I had a bigger office with multiple doctors, I would handle it a little differently, but I have a full team and department that I would do these same principles. So I think these things do scale. It's just asking yourself, how committed are you? Do you have the manpower and resources to make it happen? Okay, so you've done this, you're committed, you bought the IPL, you bought the RF. Are you able to convey the benefits to the patient? One of the hardest things that we fought with was getting a patient to understand the problem that we were seeing as doctors. Anterior segment slit lamp cameras, probably the most important investment we made. Even before you buy the equipment, you probably should get that camera or a way to do meibography. The Topcon CA100 was one of the things we initially had. We've elevated to anterior segment slit lamp cameras. Why? Because we can show them their eyes in real time and emphasize what we're trying to treat, how it is affecting their eyes. We do meibography on every single patient. Does it fit into your flow? Are you worried, well, if I do that meibography, I'm not going to be able to see this many patients an hour? Are you fine with that? You have to convey the pain point, the problem, and how you are going to address it. You need to have paperwork. Yes, there's a lot of paperwork that goes with these advanced therapies. Your staff needs to be the ones explaining it. We, last July, took our whole system, broke it down, and built it up from the ground up. We put a lot of emphasis on the doctors educating, and the staff, we made it easy for them. They have a checklist, essentially, that they go through for the sign-up process. But the education is done in the exam room. When we were trying to rely on the staff to convey the importance, it was going right over the patient's head, because the doctor, the person that is treating this, that is supposed to be the most educated on the eye, was not the one doing the education. When we flipped that over and had the doctor do the 99% of the education, it made a world of difference. The staff knows what they're doing. They're part of the treatments. They're in the process, but they are not the doctors. They're going over the process, what to expect, what they've seen. But when it comes to that patient, the doctor is the main educator. The staff is going over the paperwork, and there's a lot of it. So you got to get that dialed in. Before you even start going over things, think about the process. When you get them to sign up, is there going to be multiple people that can do it? Or do you have a champion? The champion method is great when they're selling you on it. The problem is the champion, if you want a dry practice like ours, would spend all day just waiting to be pulled aside. We have to pull every one of our staff members because we are such a busy office that you can't just have someone sitting waiting to talk about this. It has to be done in the moment, and your staff, multiple people need to be able to educate them. So you have to not only come up with a protocol, but you have to educate your staff in such a way that they are trained. Not only training doctors, you're training the staff. And that's not going to get done in a weekend, and that's something that has to be ongoing. We talk about it on a weekly basis. And then you have to implement it. How do you schedule patients? What time slots do you allot? How is it going to flow in your workflow? These are all things that you have to think about. If you just buy the equipment and then try to implement, you're going to find not as easy as it looks, and it's going to throw a wrench in your system. And know what's going to happen? Your staff will revolt. You'll not want the headache, and that new $100,000 piece of equipment is going to sit in the corner and not get used. So you really need to think this through. Talk to doctors like me who do it. Call up your rep. Say, what is the actual protocol? How are they putting it on the schedule? How much time does it take? Who's administering the treatments? How often do they come back? Schedule is one of the most important things, and then manpower to support it. And are you willing to take time away from a comprehensive exam to do those dry treatments? Because if you're not, is it worth making the jump? And the last thing I'll say is the external aspect. Then you guys think about marketing, and that's a slow build. It's a brand. To do that, in my opinion, well, you need proof of concept. You get proof of concept by building it internally first. I have 5 years of data now that I can go back to and say, these are the patients that have been successful. These are their stories. Let me share them with you. But when I first started, this is what I think is best. This is what all the data says. You're kind of hoping. I gave away a few free things so I could get data. You have to pay the price to get into the game. And sometimes that price is giving away treatments so you can see how it works. So you can get your hands dirty and prove your concept, prove your system, get your staff on board. Are you committed to that? Or do you want ROI immediately? Educate other providers, primary care physicians, rheumatologists, chiropractors, who can refer to you. Let them know how you can help, what you offer. You have a menu of options, put it out there. Also, educate patients. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, all things that we put stuff out there on, trying to get our word out there. Look at my YouTube channel, RDEC, Rejuvenation Dry Eye Center, and Family Vision Optical. I have like 4 or 5 years of videos just talking about the same things every single week. And now we're getting traction. How do you start a dry eye clinic? I give you the tools, but realize you're not going to see the results for another 3 years that you want. You'll see results. You'll get momentum. You'll get traction. Are you committed to it? Really ask yourself, do you want to do this? And I'm talking about dry eye, but you can apply this to any specialty clinic you're looking to add. Any piece of equipment you're bringing to the office, I think these principles are universal. So that's my advice from you, how to start a specialty clinic in your practice. I use dry eye as my example, but like I said, you can apply it to anything. So that's what I got. We'll have more for you next week. Where, oh where has the time gone? We are to the closing thought of the episode, and today I will leave you with this. I just listened to a great episode of the Power Hour with Eugene Chatsman, and he was talking to Susie Lake and a master optician. I'm not sure his name. I think it was like Whaley something. And they were talking about multiple locations when you go from 1 to 2 and then 2 to more. And I've had 2 practices. I've told you that. And my second practice initially failed. Fell flat on my face. I made every single mistake that podcast went over. If I would have listened to that early on, might have saved me some time, effort, and energy. But nonetheless, I listened to it. But one of the cool things I took away from that was, in order to go from not 1 to 2, but 2 to 4, someone has to be doing the work on the business. And they always ask you, as a doctor, did you get into this to see patients, or are you committed to being a business owner? Do you want to run the business? And you can do both. But when you want to get to a certain level of scale, it takes a lot more effort and energy, and you have to love it. And when I think about the things that light me up, that give me energy, I love that business side. Ego is keeping me in the exam room. But if I never saw another patient again and we were growing the practice and business, I think I'd be just fine. I'd be very, very happy with what I was doing, how I was practicing, how I was spending my time. So that is something that I thought was really important for us to think about. Where do you want to spend your time? And then that goes back to the other question that you should ask yourself when you're thinking about growing or scaling is why? Why do you want to go from 1 to 2? Why do you want to go from 2 to 4? And me, a lot of it is also ego driven. I would love the idea to walk into one of my P3 meetings and be like, I have 5 practices. They're running. Look at what we do. But is that really where I need to be? Can I scale the practice that I have? Can I make it as big as I want and do what I need to do in there? And that's the thing that I'm kind of contemplating and thinking about, because the way we're growing and expanding, I think we're getting momentum and traction where we can be a tertiary care center where people are just referring us patients. Yeah, we're doing some primary care, but it's not the emphasis. It's a completely different business model, and that gets me excited as well. I like the idea of just seeing my ocular surface disease and dry eye patients and working on the business like 50-50. We get enough referrals in. I don't have to harvest from my internally. I have 2 doctors that are seeing primary care, but they're getting referrals. You get a good enough business. Then the constraint is, do I have enough room? Do I need to grow and expand that? How do I make my business less complex? Get rid of optical. So many times I've thought of that. If I could get the optical out of the equation, how much simpler is my business? Interesting things to think about. And it resonated with me so much. I wanted to put out here as the closing thought. When I say those things to you, what lights you up? If you were never in the exam room again, would that give you juice that you're growing and just working on the business? Why do you want to grow and scale? Why do you want more than one office? What do you want to grow your office to be? All important questions. So give that episode a listen. Send me a message, or just think about this for yourself. That's what I got for you. Dr. Lilly out.